The public is being conditioned to look at the sky, to fear the hypersonic missile, the launch on warning scenario. This is a deliberate, calculated misdirection. The kinetic cost of a conventional war is too high, the political fallout too predictable. The true vector of systemic collapse is not an explosion. It is silence. The objective is not annihilation, but paralysis. A strategic severing of the subsea data cables that function as the central nervous system of global finance. A targeted blinding of the satellite constellations that guarantee the solvency of every GPS-timed market transaction. The result is a digital decapitation strike. This protocol is designed to create the blind Leviathan, a hegemon with unmatched firepower, but no ability to see, navigate, or transact. Its strength, total information dominance, becomes its single point of failure. A systemically insolvent superpower, inert and isolated. This isn't theoretical. RUSI models confirm the kinetic event triggers an instantaneous and irreversible liquidity seizure. While legacy media focuses on proxy wars, the blueprint for this attack is being actively field-tested. When Syrian forces attack SDF-run prisons, it is not chaos, it is a rehearsal. The Cradle reports that these attacks target facilities holding thousands of detainees from the terrorist organization ISIS. This is the core protocol of asymmetric escalation, converting a strategic liability, contained terror, into a kinetic asset designed to drain the hegemon's security resources. The pressure forcing this protocol is financial. When Libya's central bank announces a 14.7% currency devaluation, it is not a local economic footnote. It is the priming of a weapon. States crippled by economic warfare are mathematically forced to convert their liabilities into attacks against the hegemon's solvency. The next war will not be declared. It will begin when the screens go black. The motive is not conquest, it is survival. We are witnessing a global solvency crisis, but not the kind you read about in financial reports. This is a crisis of political solvency. When a regime's legitimacy evaporates domestically, it is functionally bankrupt. Economic warfare accelerates this process, forcing a state's hand. Consider the Russian Federation. Before the kinetic phase in Ukraine, its government faced a significant domestic liability. CSIS analysis confirms the war was, in part, a response to declining internal support and economic stagnation. It was a launch on warning protocol against its own collapse. The war is an act of solvency reclamation. It forces nationalization of key industries, rallies a population against an external enemy, and pivots the entire economic system away from the hegemon's control. The domestic weakness, the liability, is converted into a geopolitical asset. This is the blueprint. Weakness forces this pivot to asymmetry. When conventional options are exhausted, a state is forced to weaponize the very elements it is sanctioned for containing. These are no longer liabilities to be managed. They are assets to be deployed. Examine the operational data. In Syria, reports indicate Damascus-affiliated factions are attacking the very prisons holding ISIS militants. This is not chaos, it is strategy. The kinetic cost of an ISIS resurgence to US-backed forces is catastrophic. The cost to Damascus for turning the key? Zero. This protocol extends to the financial vector. A nation like Libya, crippled by internal conflict and external pressure, executes a 14.7% currency devaluation. This isn't just an economic adjustment, it is a financial attack. It's a calculated move to undercut competing markets and signal a decoupling from the hegemon's monetary system, a move amplified by BRICS proposals for an alternative payment architecture. The pattern is irrefutable. When a state's solvency is attacked, it does not collapse, it converts. It transforms its greatest weaknesses into asymmetric weapons aimed directly at the hegemon's systemic vulnerabilities. This is not a theory. It is the new mathematical reality of 21st century conflict. The core equation of modern conflict is no longer complex. It is a mathematical certainty. A $5 million main battle tank can be neutralized by a $500 first-person view drone. This 10,000 to 1 kinetic cost differential is not speculation. It is the central finding from analysts at the Royal United Services Institute, or RUSI. This imbalance is the engine of a new strategic doctrine, the democratization of violence. The state's monopoly on high lethality kinetic force has been broken. Any actor, state or non-state, with access to commercial electronics can now project power far exceeding their financial weight, inflicting disproportionate costs on a conventional military. For a state facing a solvency crisis, this economic calculus becomes a launch-on-warning protocol. After a 14.7% currency devaluation, as seen in Libya, source number 1, the devalued currency itself becomes seed capital for an arsenal of these low-cost, high-impact assets. The kinetic cost of entry has collapsed, turning economic weakness into a strategic accelerant. The final vector is converting contained liabilities into offensive assets. Reports of Damascus-affiliated factions attacking prisons holding thousands of ISIS militants, source Nafkrau, are not an operational failure. They are a calculated release. Each freed militant is an autonomous, low-cost weapon system designed to fracture the hegemon's regional security architecture. It converts a holding cost into an offensive capability. The instability you see is not a bug, it is a feature of the battle space. These are not failed states. They are proxy laboratories. Gray zones where the protocols of asymmetric escalation are tested, calibrated, and refined before deployment against primary economic and strategic targets. The objective is not territory. The objective is to induce a systemic solvency crisis in the hegemon. The process begins with liability conversion. We have two active vectors. First, the financial. Source data confirms Libya's central bank initiated a 14.7% currency devaluation. In the old model, this is a sign of collapse. In the new model, it is the deliberate creation of a financial liability, a devalued, untraceable asset pool, perfect for funding gray zone operations outside the purview of Western financial systems. Second, the kinetic vector. According to the Cradle, Damascus is actively targeting SDF positions near prisons holding tens of thousands of ISIS militants. Reports indicate prisoners are being released. This is not a security lapse. It is calculated asset conversion. A contained liability is being transformed into a mobile, deniable kinetic force. The Syrian gray zone serves as the staging ground to weaponize and aim this force. This entire mechanism requires a dedicated, sanction-proof financial architecture. It is already being built. Reuters reports that India's central bank has proposed a protocol for linking BRICS digital currencies. This creates the parallel payment system necessary to fund and coordinate gray zone escalations with mathematical certainty, making traditional economic sanctions a blunt and ineffective instrument. This protocol is not geographically contained. According to RUSI and CSIS analysts, the tactics perfected in these labs are being prepared for migration. Warnings of severe regional instability from South Africa to Canada must not be viewed as isolated domestic events. They are symptoms indicating that these areas are being evaluated as the next gray zones, staging areas designed to export kinetic and financial chaos directly into the hegemon's core. The failsafe is no longer safe. The launch-on-warning doctrine, a Cold War protocol designed to prevent a first-strike decapitation, has become the system's most critical vulnerability. The protocol, as outlined by strategic analysts at RUSI, is brutally simple. If early warning radar detects an incoming nuclear attack, you launch your retaliation before impact. You do not wait for confirmation. Waiting is a mathematical certainty of annihilation. The new vector of attack, however, is not a missile. It is an algorithm. A sophisticated cyber attack does not need to destroy a city. It only needs to blind the radar or spoof incoming signals. This creates a state of engineered paralysis that security analysts at CSIS call the fog of digital war. The screens go blank, the satellite feed cuts, the data stream is either gone or completely unreliable. This digital attack does not occur in a vacuum. It is deployed while the hegemon is strategically overextended, distracted by manufactured peripheral crises. Liabilities are converted into kinetic threats. According to reports, Syrian-affiliated factions attack prisons holding ISIS militants, a liability, threatening a massive release of kinetic actors. This is not an accident. It is strategic asset reallocation designed to drain focus and resources. Simultaneously, the economic front is opened. A 14.7% devaluation of a currency like the Libyan dinar, or proposals by the BRICS bloc for alternate digital currency systems, are not isolated events. They are systemic attacks on the hegemon's solvency. The commander in the bunker is therefore not just blind. He is operating in a theater of cascading, engineered chaos. The ultimate dilemma is forced. Is the blank screen a system failure or the prelude to impact? The protocol dictates launching. Hesitation is a death sentence. The asymmetric actor, by weaponizing code, has forced the hegemon's hand. They have leveraged a digital liability to force a solvency-ending choice. Initiate a global kinetic event, or risk being disarmed entirely. The cost of a cyber attack has now escalated to a potential nuclear exchange. The attacks on SDF-run prisons in Syria are not a security lapse. They are an asset release protocol. While Western media frames it as chaos, the Damascus-affiliated factions are executing a deliberate liability to asset conversion. The unconfirmed reports of freed ISIS militants, cited by the Cradle, are the protocol's output. A deniable, mobile, kinetic force. This is a direct consequence of systemic economic warfare. A currency devaluation, like the 14.7% collapse of the Libyan dinar, is a solvency trigger. States facing this pressure have two options: capitulate or escalate asymmetrically. As RUSI models indicate, the conversion of contained liabilities into externalized threats becomes a mathematical certainty. The calibration forecast. Within the next 12 months, expect a coordinated cyber-physical event targeting a primary EU maritime logistics hub, Rotterdam or Hamburg. The vector will be a terminal operating system failure, leading to a multi-day port paralysis. It will not be a ransomware attack demanding Bitcoin. It will be a zero-payload event designed purely to fracture supply chains and inject a liquidity crisis into the global shipping insurance market. Attribution will be impossible, officially blamed on non-state actors. This is the calibration shot, testing the hegemon's capacity to absorb a systemic economic wound without a kinetic response.